Thank you. As we all know, the present economy, actually the model discourages the idea about take, make and dispose, and predominantly used in economy. So the circular economy instead is actually eliminating the waste, continual use of the resource materials, and future generation products will embrace the circular economy. To actually understand this subject in perspectives, we should understand how the electronics or electrical products are made. So it is starting from the mining of the material and precious metals, then the component development, then the assembly, the making the products, then the sustainable use, then the end of life management, then again extraction of the valuables and precious metals, rare earth, other materials as a secondary raw material. Then it will be used in our virgin products. So this is the chain has to be followed in circular economy. As there are some figures I should share here. If you just continue with our present state of economy and the ESDM sector, by 2030 we will be consuming almost 15 billion tons of raw materials. So these raw materials are not there in our mother earth. So in e-waste, just managing the e-waste or end of life management may not help us much. And also we know the products, electronic products are changing very fast, and there are different type of elements are being used for the functionality. So already 69 elements of the periodic table are being used in the electronic products for its desired functionality. So end of life product, that e-waste, is also containing huge significant amount of materials which will be used for our economic development, for our we know lithium, indium is not there in our country. So we are procuring from outside. So making Atmanirbhar, we require to extract them in the fullest way. That's science and technology, as the Honorable Prime Minister is saying, that we should develop technology which will actually help us to extract those materials with resource efficiency. Considering these issues, actually, if you see the snapshot of our waste generation, in 2016, one international study predicted, or rather estimated, India was the 5th generator of electronic waste. But in 2020, same organization has found we are the 3rd generator of e-waste. In the global production of 54 million metric ton, we have already contributed 3 million metric ton of electronic waste by 2019. So it is growing by 18% year on year. We, as Mr. Anandkumar has mentioned, we have a e-waste rule 2016 implemented, and under EP Act. But there are lots of challenges for implementing this rule. There are 400 recyclers, but still there is a vibrant informal sectors, 20 to 20 lakh informal sectors, and 10% that waste are being collected only. So these are the challenges. And if you see the digital India boost, aspiration of the youth, and the growth of robust use of electronic sectors, and by 2023 we will be almost consuming the 400 billions worth of electronics. So 20% will anyway go to the waste stream. So this is a huge challenge. We should address this thing. So I'm just giving some of the challenges. As I mentioned, that in our country, we are predominantly using the downstream approach, that is end of life management. We have not touched upon the upstream approach that helps actually material security, design of repairability, and your longer life of the products. And products are not designed for longer life. So the repairability, the choice of material and other things are not actually being touched upon much. Refurbishment was not the solution, and also there are some issue like some issue like mass balancing system. Once the materials are being collected, how it is going to the different channel, what are the things are being lost in between, we are not very much aware of. So end processing precious metal of rare earth extraction are still depending on the foreign smelter. So process audit in different stakeholders like recycler, PRO, dismantler are not still we have not having any benchmark. So 95% of the waste is still going into the informal channel. We require affordable technology, we require affordable machines, we require skill set, we require awareness. So it's a huge, I should say, problem. So
Dr.
if you see the
Dr. Chatterjee, are you able to see the slides? Because we have projected the slides from here.
Yes,
and which slide should we be on? Tell us which slides we should be on.
You can cross that. Next slide.
Next slide.
It's not changing.
This one?
Next. Yes. So if you see the government commitment, already in 2019, there are two path-breaking report has been made by Niti Aayog, where METI has taken a lead role. One was the resource efficiency along with European Union resource efficiency team, and where we found that unless we are upgrading our informal sectors and giving them adequate skill and affordable technology, it will be difficult. This is the main outcome of that report, and it published in January 2019. Similar time, another report was preparing by Niti Aayog that was actually started for ensuring the rare earth elements from the waste material, EWaste especially, and they found that we should have some dedicated infrastructure or establishment where the waste should be collected, channelized and recycled, like eco park. So that was the two main outcome. These two reports has said, and with this understanding, can you change the slide? So in 2021, Niti Aayog has come out with a holistic approach to understand the circular economy in different 11 sectors they have chosen, and e-waste was one of them. As you all know, this is important for reducing the pollution, waste, ensuring the longer life of the product, recovery of the precious metal, rare earth materials, minimize the occupational health and health hazards, boosting the recycling industry in the country, helping the formalization creation, and of course actually ensuring the material security and economical growth for this electronic sector. There is a very and growing very fast for last 7-8 years. So majority of the key plan or this particular committee was chaired by our secretary, and we have a elaborate discussion with the various stakeholders where industries are there, academicians were there, and different national, international experts are contributed in that. Then we have taken the public consultation through our MyGov platform and METI website, and then one action plan was prepared and handed over to the Niti Aayog. Then we have found that, and I'm just giving brief, action point or the key action point in that in the report. Which identified design and other circular economy principles for electronics and electric sector. We should ensure the green skill development program, incentivize the manufacturer to recyclable design, secondary raw material use in the future product, institutional arrangement to track the critical materials, sustainable product policy, green public procurement in line with the global framework of best practices, tracking the secondary raw material, encouraging the manufacturing to use them, and set up the sampling lab throughout the country. Secondary raw material presence in the new products. These are all the some of the important action plan has been identified. Apart from that, adapt the international harmonized resource efficiency in circular economy, adoption of international standard, upgrade the informal sectors, create infrastructure, affordable technology, local machines to ensure the resource efficiency. And next slide, please. So in that this action plan report, finally in November, out of those identified action plan, Niti Aayog asked METI to coordinate the from the Government of India the action plan on EWaste, where 57 action point has been given to us for initiating action. And under that, I'll be just giving some brief initiation of the program and projects from METI side. To address the various action point, we have identified 6 major program or projects. One was the awareness program. We have a success story of EWaste awareness from 2015 to 2020 in a participatory mode. Similar thing we are now starting with circular economy and resource efficiency with the industry association and other industry bodies and academicians. It should be the financial participation mode, so that the EPR fund used for awareness can be tapped. So have a corpus of fund which can be used for pan India awareness in a sustainable manner. Second thing is skill. We are also doing. I'll be giving some of the glimpse of our activity coming 2-3 slides. Skill program, because there are 400 recyclers in our country, authorized recycler, but the skill set is not adequate. They are also having different type of semi-skilled worker. So Ministry of Electronics and IT already initiated skill development program in 8 northeast state, as well as in Punjab, Haryana, and Chandigarh in Telangana state. So similar thing will be proliferated throughout the country. R&D is our main focus, creating low cost technology. We have started from 2007. So now this indigenous technology developed are being we should be handholding them to informal sectors so that informal ecosystem can be made formalized. Then technology proliferation with creating the recycling cluster with this informal sectors will be another important identified point. That for that we will be discussing with MSME Ministry to use the cluster with the informal operators. There are few policy measures where sustainable product policy or subscription and lease model to be used in government system for procuring electronics, green public procurement. So we have constituted few committees. Then the state-of-art recycling technology, where Eco Park was proposed. Our ministry in the advanced stage of approving the specs, already existing specs scheme, which is used for the component manufacturing in the country, where we have identified 5 components for giving the subsidy, 25% subsidy for recycling industry in the country. This is one of the important action already being taken in this sector. Next slide. Now, why we have taken different type of activity based on our past experience. We have started creating, affordable technology using. We have found there are 4 technology are being used globally for the commercialization. One is mechanical separation and hydrometallurgy. Another is pyrolysis and electrowinning. So we initiated our journey from National Metallurgical Laboratory, Jamshedpur. We have used that mechanical separation and hydrometallurgy, and we have developed that technology. And also 1000 kg of printed circuit board has been demonstrated, and there are many industries are benefited out of this technology, and this is commercialized. This is one technology. Then we have tried with our own lab, CIMET Hyderabad, and E-Parisara is one of the oldest recycler in the country. We have developed another technology of pyrolysis and electrowinning. The initial method, the NML methods, are good for low value board, and the CIMET and E-Parisara methods would be important for high value board like server board and mobile board. Then apart from board, we have found that there are 7 different categories of plastics are used in electronics and electrical products. We have developed another technology in CPET Bhubaneswar in 2011. So next slide please. With this repository knowledge, in 2019, we have created first Center of Excellence on Electronics Waste Recycling, along with many academic institutes CMAT is the focal point. There are few international universities and national universities where we are now this type of center of excellence. We will be proliferating technology out of that center, where we are targeting 50 SMEs will be supported with the technology, 12 startups will be created, 10 informal sectors will be upgraded, 100 SMEs will be trained with the ROHS practices. Collaborative of academicians with the IITs, we initiated a course on MTech. This is the first time globally we have created this, that CMAT and IIT Hyderabad is conducting for last 3 years. And there is a commitment of creating 500 kg PCB recycling facility in Telangana. So this center of excellence has been created in the participatory funding mode, where Telangana government and government of India METI has given 40% fund, and 20% has been given very recently to a company Greenco. So this is almost 39 crores projects. So this is a very unique model we have initiated in the country, where the startup companies, other industries are collaboratively work towards the creation of SME startups in the country. Next slide, please. And next slide. This center of excellence now offering 6 different technologies. As I mentioned, PCB, lithium-ion battery, pyrolysis and hydrometallurgy. There are CFL extraction of rare earth materials from phosphors. There are spent magnet, neodymium magnet, where from hard disk we can extract the neodymium metals. The recovery of solar panel, though it is not in the rule yet, but the photovoltaic solar panel recycling also we have taken under that center of excellence, and also WEEE plastics are another technology. So these technologies are different level of TRL level 7 to TRL level 4. So this we are offering to the local industry. Next. Next, please. So this is the initiative so far from 2007. From NML technology, there are 6-7 companies are benefited. From the CMAT technology, Namo, Aksha is here, E-Parisara are benefited. From CPET technology, one Neem Plastic benefited. But if you see the number of companies from 2007, it is very limited. So we are now trying under circular economy to proliferate the technology to the accelerators mode. Now we will be offering those technology to the accelerators. They can further handhold to the informal sectors, so that ecosystem in the country can be created in a faster mode. Next slide, please. Now this is one of the important program of our ministry. We have done under the direction of Honorable Prime Minister in 2015, and it continued up to 2020, where almost 17 lakhs has been given in 9 different stakeholders. For the 9 different stakeholders, we have created dedicated course material that is available in our website greeny.gov.in. Anybody can download those course materials, can do further program. And also we have created more than 3,000 Greeny champions under that program. And also we have created 7 to 9 standard student learning content on EWaste that is available in Diksha platform of NCRT. So and also you have different type of film posters are available in that website. Next.
Mr. Chatterjee, I'm just interrupting you. Please wind up in next 2 to 3 minutes, because we have to wrap up the session by 12:10 or so. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Now this is the skill development program I already mentioned. That is continuing for last 2 years. We have touched base to Northeast, your Punjab, and also Telangana. So almost 10 states are benefited. So similar model we will be using for informal upgradation. Next slide, please. Now action so far we have taken. We have constituted a committee on sustainable product policy that is in final stage. Now we are discussing with the manufacturers how it is feasible and how it can be made for the version 1 of sustainable product policy for the country. Now we are in the final stage for creating the guideline for product subscription or lease model, so that government of India, state governments can lease the product instead of owning the product. So that will be a boost to refurbish market. Now, Pan India Awareness Program, we are now developing with NILET, one of the NILET center, along with the industry association. Creating infrastructure, as I already mentioned, specs policy, we are taking some subsidy scheme. Upgradation of informal sector, another project proposal we are forming, and with the MSME cluster scheme, so help the informal sectors. R&D is an ongoing process. The different products will come up, so we have to push the R&D in different manner. International study to understand the EU's standards, resource and circular economy, ecosystem based available technology. We are developing another projects with European Union as well as GIZ. Next please. Next please. This is some of the other action point where MOEF and other ministries are taking care. I'm not touching about that. So the majority of MOEF will be on the modification of the rules, and finally those MSMEs and skill development ministry will be helping us to create the green skill development and all. So this is my concluding slide. Products should be designed for longer life. Design for environment should be ensured. Create awareness. Secondary raw material tracking. Motivation of or incentive for the producers to use the secondary raw material, upgradation of the informal sectors, creating new technology, affordable technology machines for the entire ecosystem in the country, locally developed technology. That would be the way forward, sir. This is my last slide. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Chatterjee. Now I would like to request Sri George Paul. He is Chief Executive Officer of Manufacturer Association of Information Technology, to make his expert's comment. Mr. Paul has over 40 years of experience in the sector. I would request him to talk about the technology and design for circularity from the manufacturer's perspective, and especially offer some technological solutions which the Prime Minister in his inaugural address has emphasized upon, if you could do that. And since we have constraint of time, if you could limit your interjection to about 7 to 8 minutes. Limit your comments to 7 to 8 minutes.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Anandkumar. Thank you, Secretary, for giving the industry through MATE platform to participate and give our inputs. I speak on behalf of here in the country, and the last decade has seen the industry work proactively with the Government of India in bringing global best practices and formulation of the EPR policy in the country. So much so that the success of the electronics EPR policy has led to the country looking at a similar model for other areas such as batteries, chemicals, plastics, etc. But more importantly, I'm very proud to say that the electronics industry has adopted the EPR framework. They have taken targets and they are collecting e-waste, more and more quantity as per the EPR framework, and channelizing it to the recyclers. So in this context, today our Honorable Prime Minister mentioned that the budget has set an objective for the country, and I now look at all of you stakeholders, the industry, who knows the nuances, to help in designing the execution so that we do not lose time and we can, in the shortest possible time, make the vision of the budget a success. And here, from the industry side, I wish to state that we look forward to be invited by the government of India, be it at a ministry level, be it at a regulator level, and be it at a technology level, so that we can bring in the experience and wisdom of industry when we bring out these policies. I'm also happy to state that Dr. Chatterjee had touched upon the e-waste awareness. The industry under the platform of MATE and CIAMA and a couple of other industry associations, we built this content for school children, which is on the MOOCs platform. Today it is in English. We should now take it to all the major vernacular languages to create awareness in the children from 9th to 11th or 7th to 11th, because the young minds are the ones that will bring about a cultural change, in our nation. Touching upon now technology for circularity, it is extremely important that as policymakers or as stakeholders here, we keep one aspect of electronics in mind. Electronics as a domain is the fastest changing product field. And the new products that come offer better performance at a lower cost. That is a very unique peculiarity of electronics. Now, what this translates to is that by the time a product comes to its end of its life, the ability to use parts or subassemblies of it in a new product is highly low, because by then new technology has come in, new products have come in. So this aspect should be kept in mind when we take goals and we make execution policy, and that will help all of us. And we as industry will work very closely with government in drawing up those roadmaps. So then what this comes out to is that we have to then bring circularity by looking at alternate circularity pathways. How do we bring about circularity in secondary raw material? How do we bring about circularity in, repairability, etc.? And as in any domain, India as a global leading economy is working shoulder to shoulder. So we should work with the globe in coming out with standards that are harmonized with the world, because in electronics, we are a global supply chain. And the Indian standards for circularity should be harmonized with the global, because otherwise there will be a disconnect and India cannot work in isolation. And the second thing that I would add is, because today, while we have taken ambitious goals and we are well on our way to becoming a global manufacturer, a lot of design is done out of the country. So for the Indian industry, we have to keep this in mind that for Indian design products to adopt, we have to give certain time and leeway. I then just want to briefly touch upon what you call the e-waste. Now, when we take e-waste today, when we do e-waste recycling, there is very little that goes to landfill. That means e-waste recycling is net positive or near net positive from a circularity perspective, and maybe around net positive from an economic perspective. So what is the role of technology? Dr. Chatterjee has been doing pioneering work from his ministry, in pushing this forward, connecting the dots, getting the players together. And so we have to work on technology that will make this circularity or the recycling more efficient. So that is one need. So if we as a country can take that, how do we develop technology and processes that make both the circularity and this positive? The second thing is, India is unique. We know India is unique. So how do we develop secondary uses for material? A very simple example is, if you take refrigerators, a lot of refrigerators eventually does not go to the recycler because it gets repurposed as ice boxes by the fishermen. Now, this is something very unique to India, and we should not wish it away. I mean, that is how we as Indians who live in an environment of constrained resources make best use of natural resources. So how technology and development of secondary use is a second strategy that we as a country can adopt. The third thing is repairs. Now, from MATE study, we have seen that India is very, very efficient in repairs for various reasons. There are people with exposure to repairs done in India, exposure to repairs done abroad. India by far is very efficient. How do we promote repairs in India? So that is a third, angle that we should take in our strategy that we draw up. Lastly, I just want to touch upon the reverse logistics part that was touched and the informal economy. See, the informal economy is one of the strengths of India. The kabadi wala, the collectors are a strength of India, but they live in a different world. And how do we bridge from the informal to the formal? One suggestion is, can we give the informal sector, the kabadi walas, a status something similar to the agricultural sector, the individual farmers, the small landholding farmers? So what have we done as a country to bring these small farmers, to enable them? We have built a system of village level mandis, then panchayat level mandis, so that they have a channel. So we now have a demand-led framework drawn up. You keep it informal, they don't have to worry about taxes, registration, things like that. So this was one suggestion, that if we can look in this particular direction, it will help integrate this 20 lakh kabadi walas, which I believe is unique to India and a strength of India, and we should look at leveraging them rather than replacing them. So these were some of the points that I just wish to share with this learned audience for due consideration and adoption. Thank you.
Thank you, Sri Paul, for your remarks and highlighting some of the solutions for e-waste and for design and technology and design circularity. Now, I would like to call upon Sri Akshay Jain, Managing Director of Namo eWaste. He is an MBA graduate, young entrepreneur, engaged in the recycling business for 10 years. I would request him to give us the recycler's perspective on the subject of e-waste recycling, highlighting some of the challenges and opportunities before you. Over to you, Sri Ms. Jain.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm very grateful to be present here amongst you people, to the chair, Dr. Chatterjee and Mr. George. As Dr. Chatterjee has given us overall of India's e-waste recycling sector, so we are a story from which has been created from that. We operate from 3 plants across the country, together constituting a capacity of over 20,000 metric tons, and we are operating from Delhi, NCR, Maharashtra, and Gujarat. So we have been a success story of how the government policies have been supportive of the e-waste sector, and how these various initiatives taken up by the government has been really helping and boosting our industry. Well, I am here to talk about the technological upgradation and the technological capabilities that are present in the country right now. So for a long period, our industry had to suffer because there was no real solution present for the extraction of precious metals from e-waste. And that's why we were dependent upon the export. As Dr. Chatterjee has shown in his slides, that we were dependent on the countries like Belgium, Japan, for exporting our PCBs and getting the precious metal recovery from them. But with the MATE's initiative, with CMET Laboratory, they were able to develop a successful technology around the recovery of precious metals from e-waste. And we are the first company that has taken up the technology from the government. It has been a very good partnership. We have been doing it for about 3 years, and we have successfully done trials of many different types of raw materials, and we have been successfully able to extract precious metals out of it. Along with that, the overall awareness in the country has gone high, and we are thankful for MATE's initiative and the MATE's initiatives that have come across in last couple of years. But still, there are many challenges which our sector is facing. The first and foremost is the amalgamation of informal and formal sector. There are still differences there. The informal sector sometimes think that the formal sector will take up their jobs, and there will be nothing left for them in this model. Whereas the whole agenda of the EPR model is to bring formal and informal recycling together. They can be a part of the collection network. They can do what they are best at, and let us recycle. Let us efficiently and environment friendly recycle the waste that can be collected by the informal sector. But there have been challenges there. Also, I would like to take your attention on the fact that the state pollution boards have to be really strict, because a lot of licenses are given to the recyclers who are not properly equipped. I would like to particularly bring up attention to UP. This particular state, there have been more than 100 new recyclers that have come up in last 3 years, and they are never really equipped. The skill set, as Dr. Chatterjee has mentioned, is very low. And if these guys are not stopped, then again we are polluting the industry, which is supposed to, take our nation forward. So apart from that, the overall initiative that have taken up by the government has really helped us. But we need proper regulations, a proper mechanism behind it. The EPR documents that are being submitted to the regulatory authority, that is CPCB, we still don't know whether they are being audited or not. And if the audits are not proper, then it is automatically leading to leakages and some holes in the whole mechanism. So I think government should check the implementation of the policies that have been drafted, because the policies have been amazing. It came to India after it was implemented in 140 countries, and we as a nation have been able to take this up very quickly. And in the last 4 or 5 years, we have been able to develop a successful model around it. And now is the time that these regulations should be checked. There should be a proper auditory work that should be taken up by the government. But I'm very, very hopeful, and these initiatives provide great opportunities for entrepreneurs like me, and for the new startups that are coming up in this sector. We have seen a growth from 180 recyclers in 2015 to over 500 registered recyclers that we have right now. And I think the number is going to just double up in next couple of years. So this sector presents a huge opportunities as well for the young entrepreneurs and the startups that are coming through. I would really like to thank the chair again for having me here and taking my views on this subject. And I would like to contribute as much as I can for the future initiatives.
Thank you, Mr. Jain. Now it's time for some of the feedbacks which have come in the chat box. There are not many, one or two which are there. One of the participants are asking, while recycling efforts are commendable, is there a scheme for setting up manufacturing for battery packs to use secondary raw material effectively? Another one is, there is a need to develop and define end of life, which is not very clear as of now. So I would put this to Dr. Chatterjee for comments and response, if any.
So in the first question, sir, there are some scheme as already mentioned that our ministry is taking under the existing SPEC scheme, where the subsidy of 25% we will be considering for the capital equipment. So that will boost the investment in recycling industry. And in that, we are not talking about any indigenous technology or state of art. Whatever the technology they will be actually taking, depending on the equipment cost, so METI will be providing that subsidy. And for using the secondary raw material in battery, I know few companies, multinationals are already doing it, and we are in touch with our CMET lab for extraction of the cathode, anode materials from the used batteries, rechargeable batteries. So that actually will help the industry. So this is one of the routes. Secondary material actually reduce the production cost, but the efficiency, as Mr. Paul mentioned, the secondary raw material, the standard should be, the testing lab should be initiated in the country, who can actually assess the quality of the extracted secondary raw material. Then it will be used along with the virgin material. And what was the second question?
End of life of products.
End of life of
saying
products,
it's not
yes. it is mentioned, I should say when 2016 when CPCB has initiated that process, there are 21 products only. So it was little ad hoc, but now the time has come, we should review that. So the end of life products, from the discussing with the manufacturers, we can redefine it. The smartphone, we are talking about five years end of life, but that is actually considered three different lives: first use, second use, third use. There is an average end of life they have been taken. So carefully we can readapt it. That can be discussed with the industry, and we come out with another model, of course.
We have also a representative here from CPCB. You would like, Mr. Anandkumar, would you like to offer your comments?
Yes, sir. Yes.
For about 15, 20, 30 seconds just, because we have overshot the time.
Sir, regarding end of life, in the present rule, we have 21 notified equipments. And for these notified equipments, average lives have been given. So presently, these average lives, as Dr. Chatterjee has told, consider the first use, second use as storage. So this can be considered as end of life for this 21 type of equipment. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Now it's now I would request Professor Basu, his director, CSIR Institute of Minerals and Material Technology, Bhubaneswar, to sum up the discussions and highlight some of the key takeaways from the session. Over to you, Professor Basu.
Thank you, sir. The first point that has come up.
Professor Basu, if you can be very brief, please, because we are running out of time. So very, very brief.
Okay. The first point that has come up is that India is the third highest material user or consumption after USA and China. And with the growth, 18% growth in electronic sector, and which is going to go up more because the e-mobility is coming up where the electronics are being used, and the penetration of mobile devices into the rural market. So it is expected that this growth will be much higher. On the other hand, we have recyclers. We have about 500 recyclers, but mostly in the informal way. And the 95% of the e-waste goes to an informal sector. The informal sector gives a product called mish metal, which is primarily exported out of the country, where this manufacturing is taking place. There's a substantial work is carried out by CSIR, CMET, CPET, and IITs to get primary element back in the elemental form in 4-9 purity, but to take the easiest route, this informal sector makes mesh metal and exports. The important part is that so far we were looking as a downstream sector or downstream approach. The upstream approach is going to be important because, as the Honorable Prime Minister announced, that there will be a big investment in the semiconductor industry, and the semiconductors are used in e-mobility as well as mobile devices. So the requirement of this RE or metals in semiconductor industry, if it is in India, then obviously the upstream, downstream, both sectors can work together to see that there is a requirement within India, and the recycler actually gives back the metals to this industry. So there is a requirement in policy shift, a policy need with a stringent law for recycling and end use within India. Of course, it has to be done organically, and that will happen with the creating of an ecosystem of chip manufacturing within India. Then there is a talk of private sector's role, which is skilling and capacity development, employment generation, a role of stakeholders in capacity building, and so on and so forth. And then create awareness for e-waste recycling. Users and vendors both should be aware of that and strictly follow. And then collection is a big important issue that one has to, of course, has to go a very strict way. Then creation of SEZs and eco park is very important. And so the recyclers and chip manufacturer can be there in SEZ or in eco park. The other point came about the recycling is India.
Please wind up quickly. Please conclude.
Yes, within a second. The India is quite good in adapting in repair and refurbishing, and that should go on. After the end of use life, the definition which is of course asked for, which is we should follow, the recycler would come in and then give this material to the manufacturer, and partly it can be refurbished and sold in the market. So as a whole, this is the ecosystem need to be created, which is a $64 billion industry, the electronic industry, and it's growing, and 15 billion tons of material required by 2030, the raw material required by 2030 in India. So this is the time to act and take the advantage of a circular economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Basu. With this, we have come to end of this session focused on e-waste. I would like to thank the panelists for sharing their valuable insights and the participants for their contribution. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Mr. Anandkumar. Thank you so very much for moderating this session and generating the comments. I'll request Professor Basu to summarize this, because in the afternoon we are supposed to actually present it to the larger group, and we will make a presentation there. But all of you, please do join also once again for the afternoon session and continue joining in the current thing that is going on. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you. I will do the needful.
Thank you. We'll start the next session straight away. The next session is on energy efficiency and saving measures, and we have with us 4 people who are joining us in this particular session. The rapporteur is Dr. Rakesh Kumar. Dr. Rakesh Kumar is an environmental engineer who did his PhD in environmental engineering from NIRI Nagpur, and prior to that he had done MTech from IIT Mumbai. He's a very well-known environmental person. He has received 9 different kinds of awards, national and international, especially Environmental Leadership Award by the US Asia Environmental Partnership and the USAID for the year 2005 for outstanding contribution in improving quality of life for the population of Asia. He has also been given an award for the largest number of technology transfers for low-cost waste treatment management, Phytorid, in the year 2012. He has been given Vasvik Award in 2012 for exemplary work in urban environment improvement and sustainable technology, Phytorid, and so on and so forth. He's an extremely distinguished person. He is going to join us as the rapporteur for this session. Then we will have the presenter is Dr. Abhay Bakre. He is the Director General of Bureau of Energy Efficiency in New Delhi. Abhay Bakre ji is a post MTech from electrical engineering from IIT Kharagpur and belongs to the 1988 batch of Indian Railways Electrical Engineering Services, Ministry of Railways. And he has worked on several railways projects, including Delhi Metro and Calcutta Metro extension projects. He has also worked as Joint Development Commissioner in the Ministry of MSME as the Nodal Officer for National Manufacturing Competitiveness Program. Number of achievements to his this thing. Currently, he is the Sherpa for Clean Energy Ministerial Platform of 26 government members, and he represented Ministry of Power in G20 Energy Ministerial meetings in Argentina in 2018, at Japan in 2019, and at virtual G20 summit hosted by Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in 2020. As the Director General, his priority is to initiate new policies and programs to facilitate climate change mitigation and energy transition in the country. We also have Shri Rajnath Ram, Advisor Power and Energy Niti Aayog, and currently holds the charge of program and policies related to overall energy, petroleum and natural gas sectors in the power sectors. Mr. Ram would actually give expert comments later. His experience in program and policy formulation, techno-economic evaluation of projects and schemes, framing regulations and technical standards, emergency response and disaster management plan for oil and gas sectors, sectoral reports, analytical reports specific to schemes of the government, 5-year plans for the entire energy, and so on and so forth. He was involved in framing integrated energy policy in 2008, managing international dialogues of energy, currently engaged in the process and establishment of India Climate Energy Forum, with an aim to explore possible ways for clean energy transition and net zero by 2070. As you know, India is committed to net zero by 2070, as in the COP26 announcement made by the Honorable Prime Minister. And then we have another expert with us, very distinguished expert, Dr. Vibha Dhawan, who is the Director General of TERI, the Energy and Resources Institute, Delhi. Dr. Dhawan has been associated with TERI since 1985. She is actively involved in research as well as policy development at national and international levels. She is a very well-researched published researcher and has been instrumental in establishment of highly successful micropropagation technology park at TERI. In the area of advanced biofuels, she guides the activities of DBT TERI Center on integrated production of advanced biofuels and biocommodities. She has held several leadership positions, such as being the Vice Chancellor of TERI School of Advanced Studies from 2005 to 2007. Currently, she also serves as an adjunct professor, Consul General of South Asia Partnership, Michigan State University. She is a fellow of National Academy of Sciences, India. She is a task force member of number of committees in variety of different government organizations. Her contributions include developing e-contents for postgraduate programs in biotechnology for the UGC. She was also an advisor, bioresources and biotechnology, to the late Tarun Gogoi, the former Chief Minister of Assam. She is the winner of Indian Women Achievers Samman 2017 by NRI Achievers, Women Leadership Agriculture Award 2016 by Indian Council of Food and Agriculture, first Biotech Product and Process Development Commercialization Award of the Department of Biotechnology in 2000, the Kamal Kumari National Award for Science and Technology, and the first All India Biotech Association Award in 1998. So these are the people that we have to begin with. And I would request Dr. Abhay Bakre as the presenter to make the presentation. And after that, we'll have the two experts making their comments. Abhay
So
Bakre.
can I make a request? If you can invite me after Dr. Bakre, as I have another meeting at 1 o'clock.
I will do
So
that.
we are running late, so I just wanted to make this request. Thank you so much.
Abhay Bakre ji?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to all respected dignitaries and all the scientists, senior officials, etc., and the panelists here. Sir, may I request you, or should I share the presentation from myself, or?
Please do that. Please do that.
Okay, I'll just share it from myself.
And if you can keep yourselves to about roughly 15 minutes or so, that will be, because we are running out of time.
Yes, sir. So are you able to see the presentation in a slideshow mode or in a normal mode?
Normal mode, not slide presentation mode yet.
That's true.
Normal mode only. We are not able to see in slide presentation mode.
Yes, sir. That's what I am trying, because that's the only hiccup. That when we do it from here, it is.
Even this is okay. If we can actually just keep going page down, we'll see the other slides.
Yeah, I'll try to just yeah.
That's okay.
Yes, sir. So I'll be basically making presentation on how do we really use the technologies in the energy efficiency field by leveraging various developments, and also to contribute not only for the energy efficiency but overall our meeting the climate goals. As just a recap, that as you are aware, the Panchamrit Honorable Prime Minister announced in Glasgow, which are kind of a much enhanced ambitions of the climate goals as against the Paris, and especially if we see the item number 3 and 4, where we are going to actually reduce more than 1 billion ton of carbon emissions from now onwards up to the 2030. So it's a big challenge, but at the same time there are big opportunities also available. And the overall the target is going to be the 45% reduction from our 2005 baseline, which has been basically increased from the original 33%. So in that regard, when we move our long-term trajectory of 2070, how do we really see the role of technology, especially on the demand side? And we can just go through sector by sector maybe. So this is the 2016, the last report which was submitted to UNFCCC by MOEF as part of our BUR, the BUR3 biennial update report. We can see this, the yellow ones are basically the energy sector emissions in the country, and they take it from the IPCC protocol. So we could see that out of the 15 top sectors, you can find the 4 are only non-energy, whereas the 11 are energy sector. And they are all contributing somewhere about 77% of that. And which includes the electricity production, obviously the power generation, then the transport sector, then bigger industries, then even the specific industries like iron and steel, aluminum, cement, etc. In addition to that, the building sector. So this is the sector profile. And as you know, the way the energy related emissions are contained or they are managed, that will also decide our overall overall emissions for the country. And that's where the energy sector is important, and the role of energy efficiency and a bigger role of energy transition. So if we have just drilled down just to crunch some numbers, so that let's have what is the immediate target by 2013 and on the sectoral basis, so that we can actually find out which are the technologies available in these sectors. So overall, we are supposed to actually reduce about 890 billion tons. So somewhere this is coming from the demand sector. In addition, there will be about 700, 800 emissions reduced because of the switch to the renewable. That is the power generation side. So demand side will be about 890, and renewable could be about 850 or so. But if we see the major players, so on the industry side, if we can see the iron and steel, it has a potential about 200 plus. Then cement about 40, pulp and paper 40, and about aluminum. So these are some of the sectors where these are the opportunities available. So industry alone, if you pick up these 4 or 5 sectors, can have more than 300 million ton of opportunities, and where the role of new technologies will be actually significant. I think the slides are just not moving. Okay. So if we see from the fuel side, sir, we still have coal being the primary responsible for the emissions in the country, followed by oil, gas, etc. And the share of renewable has been very less. And if we see overall about total million tons of about 2,600, the majority share, about 64%, comes from coal only. So that's basically both from the demand side as well as on the power generation side. So here, if we are trying to actually, even on the power side, we want to increase our share of renewables, we expect that the new technologies have to come up in the renewable side. Whether it's a decentralized REs, whether it is a storage technology which will support or back up the RE adoption, or there could be new technology in terms of offshore wind, or even some kind of a hydrogen generation which is coming from the green hydrogen or from solar or wind. So these are the opportunities available from the power generation side, and we can perhaps increase the adoption of renewables, which is so that reduce the coal-based emission. Overall, if the kind of basket available is the renewable about 32% share, we can address the policies for reducing GHG emission. Energy efficiency will be almost half, about 50%. And then, of course, we have concerted efforts now increasing from ethanol, bio-CNG, etc. on the biofuel side. Nuclear will continue to have, if we increase the nuclear, I think we can have almost 8% of this share. So basically, we want to, in Indian scenario, we want to reduce from somewhere about 4,000 plus million ton of CO2 coming back to somewhere about 2,500 plus. So that will be our trajectory which we are talking about. So what have been achieved so far? There are different programs already running up by Bureau of Energy Efficiency. So far, overall per year, we are actually getting about 28 million ton of CO2, the oil equivalent saving, which is if we talk about the demand sector, especially, it is more than the 1 lakh crore worth of energy in terms of cost. So this is what the potential which we have leveraged now. But what do we plan in the coming years? We have to plan for almost 150 million ton of oil equivalent saving from up to 2030. That includes almost 700 plus will be from the electricity side. The balance will come on the non-electric, that is coal, oil, etc. at the demand sector. And as I already mentioned, about 890 is the target. So what are the strategies available? We have already come out with a detailed mission that we call it Roshni. Roshni is basically the roadmap for enhanced efficiency for the national policies. We need to actually empower the states. States are going to be actually key players, especially the building sectors, the transport sectors, e-mobility, etc. So state policies have to be aligned with the national policies. Then the different ministries, it is a demand sector, cross-sector energy efficiency, we will have to work with different ministries like steel, the DPIT for cement, pulp and paper for cement. Similarly, on the road transport, the MNRE for solar on the demand side, the decentralized solar. Finally, and all these things is actually happening at the consumer level. So on the consumer side, we need to facilitate some kind of a financing. We have to generate more awareness, etc. So all these will be the initiatives and the target groups for this. So some of the numbers, if we can see, the initiatives will be, one is the MSME sectors. We have to leverage more. The large industry, I talked about the iron, steel, etc., cement. We have new technologies coming up. Bureau has already lined up technologies for steel sector, cement sector, and there are many other opportunities available where we can leverage the upcoming technologies from the different departments. Then on the appliances, we need to get into more super efficient air conditioners, lightings, motors, pumps, etc. We are gearing up for such new appliances, and we also promote some kind of R&D, etc. in these appliances, etc. Sustainable transport, we already talked about the e-mobility, new battery life, the storage also, where we can actually leverage the green power to store, use it as battery storage or even the pump storage. Finally, the building energy, we can have new designs of buildings. We can have much better the material for the construction of buildings, so that we have almost 50% of new building stock coming up from now onwards to 2030 to be more efficient, at least 20% efficient as per the energy efficiency code. One thing which is a policy initiative, I will be coming to the end now. What kind of policies we need to see? If we have just marked the different consumption on the electricity versus non-electricity, we are still somewhere below 20% in terms of electricity consumption. So we have to actually enhance the electricity consumption in a big way. So that I'll come to at the end. So for the large industry side, some of the initiatives which we have taken for 13 sectors, we have crossed almost 1,000 consumers. But these 1,000 consumers are the large units consuming more than half of our industrial consumption. So only these 1,000 industries we are focusing on, so that we can save a substantial amount from these big large industries. On the appliances side, we have tried to improve the energy efficiency at the domestic level as well as the commercial building level. Different appliances which are in the mandatory as well as on the voluntary regime. So we have today now 30, 10 are under mandatory and 20 are on the voluntary. Every year we try to add 2 or 3 of them. Some of them like transformers, air conditioners have really given a big savings for the domestic user. On the building side, we have 1 billion square meter of projection on the commercial building from now onwards up to 2030. That means almost half of the building construction will happen again in next 10 years. On the residential side, 3 billion meter square of projection for the new residential houses. All these things, we have to get it, majority of them in the energy efficient design and a good material for saving the energy. On the MSME side, we have big opportunities of almost 60 million ton of oil equivalent, that is the saving, but about 20 to 25% can be saved by different policies and new technologies in that. Finally, sir, the transport sector, we need to focus on railways to have a modal shift so that they can shift majority of freight traffic. Today they are at 27%. Even if we reach 40%, there will be a new technologies available to save a lot of GHG emissions from the transport sector. E-mobility, there are new models coming up, new variants coming up. So what are the key takeaways, sir? The technologies which are actually coming, maybe they will be primarily on the electrification side. We need to electrify almost every sector of economy, especially those sectors like MSME industry, where it is less than 20%, and we need to at least 30% of electrification on the consumption side by 2030, so that we can adopt, use more and more renewables through grid, or even through off-grid, we can actually penetrate the or enhance the percentage of renewable. finally, we can also get the new technologies on the MSME sector. The upcoming areas are cold chain, which is again a cold storage. There will be a huge demand in coming 2 decades. And I think there is a huge opportunity in getting energy efficient cold storage plants. On the district cooling, which is again a new concept coming up for the large residential or commercial complex, we can save a lot of energy demand through cooling sector by using district cooling. The hydrogen will be a new opportunity. Those technologies which are yet to be proven in industry and transport side, I think hydrogen can complement them and reduce the GHG emission. Finally, the battery and the pump storage also is one area where we can use this technology to get the renewable in the daytime and use it in the nighttime. The digitalization through Industry 4.0 will also be offering a great opportunity for the coming years. Now, my last slide is how are we actually going to achieve this? The first thing is that we need to get a concrete financing support through different banks, because this is one area where the energy efficiency projects could not be taken forward. Because the renewable movement has actually picked up because of a good financial backup. But that is missing in energy efficiency and the new technology. So that is one area. Second thing, we are also proposing a national carbon market so that all the private sector involvement can be actually enhanced. So they will be given benefits of not only energy saving, but the carbon credits. We talked about the industry decarbonization. That could be a good movement to start with for the next 10 years. We also promote not only the grid-based renewable energy, but there should be kind of a decentralized or the local level renewables such as solar, thermal, or any other kind of renewable that can be adopted in the demand sector. There are various areas where the upcoming R&D projects can be actually taken to pilots, then demonstration. And finally, BE will be supporting them for a large scaling up. On the building side, I think there is a new concept coming up, not only the green building, but we can have net zero buildings, we can have net zero campuses. Like we are proposing all airports can be net zero in next 2 to 3 years. There could be some tourist location that can be treated as a net zero tourist location. So like that, there are different opportunities available in the building sectors also. So in nutshell, all these sectors can be given a new push for the upcoming technologies. And so that not only we will save a lot of energy for the economy, we can improve the energy intensity of the economy. At the same time, we will be able to contribute to our overall targets of 2030 climate goals, as well as our net zero target for 2070. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. We will have now 2 of our expert speakers. And Dr. Vibha Dhawan had requested that she would like to speak first, so I request her to present her views.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving me this opportunity and agreeing to my request. Well, I'm looking at the budget announcement concerning energy efficiency. And saving energy is an important aspect of energy management, and hence energy efficiency and saving measures will be promoted. So I'm just reading from what was announced in the budget. And this will be done in large commercial buildings through the energy service company business model, and it will facilitate capacity building and awareness for energy audit, performance contracts, and common measure and verification protocol. Now, a very important statement, because what we are talking of, that energy saved is perhaps many-fold of energy generated. Because when you generate energy, there are transmission losses, there is lot of infrastructure to be created, and that infrastructure is not without carbon footprint. So therefore, as a country, it is very important to have this habit of saving energy and moving towards that. Now, I'll start with what are the initiatives that TERI has taken in the, or rather we are already taking. For major industries, energy audit becomes extremely important. Because what happens is, most of the time, everyone has intention of being as green as possible, also save energy, because saving on energy also means that you are saving in rupee term as well. But then they're not aware of that, are they really wasting energy, and what is it that they can do beyond it and what is it they can do. what is going to be the capex if they change to better equipment which is available today, and can it actually be done in the old companies. Now, energy audit is one such way in which we can go to the corporates and we can tell them about the excess energy usage and give them the tools so that they become much better in the following year. And I'm very glad to report that while we started this initiative, that has been taken in a very big way around the country. And not only that, now there are certified energy auditors, and which essentially means it is not that anyone can do that. They have been given proper training. And it has also been recognized that there is dearth of energy auditors and we need to create more and more so that they meet the demand. And that also shows that there is demand by the industry. They want energy auditors. They want to get the energy auditing done. So that is being done by the corporate sector. Now that doesn't, it has to be, I should say, complemented with from where the energy is to be generated. So energy transition becomes extremely important. It is not possible. First of all, we can't say that we only have one renewable source. There are multiple sources which depends on the application of energy as well as the location, the region where you are going to use that energy. So therefore, in some areas, it's going to be geothermal. In some areas, it's going to be solar, in some wind, and so on. Of course, one is also overcoming this problem of transmission, and it is now possible that energy generated in Northeast can be brought to Agra in an efficient way and in a cost-effective way. So therefore, choice of the renewable energy source that has to be carried out at the regional level, and it is the overall energy potential in a region that has to be realized because transmission is becoming simpler today. So TERI also has one program which is on energy transition, and we are looking into many of such options. Now, one point which Mr. Mahakare mentioned, and that is that in India, we are at the stage when a lot of infrastructure is to be built. We are saying perhaps 2/3 of the infrastructure has to come in next, perhaps a decade. Now over there, and he rightly mentioned that let's not talk only in terms of rating of buildings, how energy efficient they are. Let's move towards net zero kind of buildings, that they are not causing any impact on the environment, and whatever energy they require, they are able to generate themselves. So one such program, and I'm sure most of the audience are aware of, that there is a program on rating of buildings. So this is, one is by LEED and the other one is by TERI, which is GREHA rating. Now, when we talk of GREHA compliant building, it starts with the architecture of the building itself. Because what we want the building to be lit as much as possible so that you don't have to light the building during the day. But at the same time, you want to avoid any heat coming in, because we are a tropical country and cooling is an expensive proposition. So therefore, the design itself, and we have designed buildings, including TERI's own, and also given consultancy to ITC and many such projects, where the design had brought down the requirement of energy by 40-45%. So that becomes something, it might be a little expensive to begin with, but then it is that it pays for the energy costs in year to come, and it's much cleaner. The other is that you cannot create the entire infrastructure again, and therefore the existing buildings, one can also work on them and bring down the electricity load. So that is what the GREHA rating means. We have buildings which are 5-star rating, and one can rate the project depending on the energy load that building has to take. And as I said, we start with the designing part of it, but then one has to move to next stage, and that is the building material that is used. How good, or let's do the LCA, life cycle analysis of the whole thing, and go for much cleaner material. And therefore, we do have a center of excellence with Mahindra, where we are working on sustainable building material. The glass, the quality of glass which we were using perhaps a decade ago is so different from what is existing today. And perhaps research will lead to the glass or other building materials which will be far more efficient, or I'll put it this way, that one will be able to either get, depending on the region where it is to be used, that whether they will conserve the heat or rather they will be not that good conductor of heat, and therefore the outside heat won't go in and the cool part won't go out. And the heat from entering the building, especially during the summer months. So a lot of research is required in this area, because there is possibility both in terms of designing and in terms of materials to reduce the electricity load in the existing buildings. Because see, what has happened, and we have witnessed that in the past, that air conditioning or cooling for human comfort, it is no more a luxury, rather it has emerged as a requirement, and it's really going to go up further, and therefore we need to take care of this. There are also designs available for the rural part of the country, because over there land is not that much of a constraint, and especially if you are using land also for purposes as agriculture, one can go for technologies which age-old technologies of earth air tunnel and so on. So therefore, there is scope for going for efficient buildings both in the rural part as well as the urban part. And as rightly mentioned, the airports or the large building complexes, they need to be as efficient as possible. Just go back. I'll go to one more thing, and that is, let's talk of sustainable cities. And over there, it should be zero waste generation. That should be the main emphasis. And therefore, the natural resources like water, which are being used at the building level, attempts should be made, or at a building level or at the city level, that entire wastewater should be treated and recycled, so that one reduces the impact on groundwater, as well as have, I should say, conserve whatever water we have. Don't add it or don't make it emerge as a pollutant, but rather as a resource which can be used again. Next slide. While I'll put it this way, that a large number of technologies are available, I'll also say that people largely, they are aware of what needs to be done at their level, most of them, but although there is need to bring more awareness. There is also, like when we talk of renewable energy, many a times it's the capex, which it's both awareness as well as the capex cost, that one is not able to apply those technologies. And therefore, if we identify what is needed if we really want to commercialize, I'll put it this way. First of all, is that bring awareness about these two issues. Second is, I'm not so much in favor of subsidies, but I'm definitely in favor of soft loans, so that it becomes that what you save, you ultimately pay for the cleaner technologies. So therefore, there should be a sort of soft loan that both corporates and at household level, people should be able to adopt those. But I'll come to one of the most important points, and that is that when we look at these technologies, one of the major gap is that, first of all, we don't have that much of trained manpower that we require. Like I discussed about the energy audit, and there are energy auditors, certified energy auditors, But if we look at the need of energy auditors versus the numbers available, there is a gap. There is also, like we talk on one hand, that we need to create skilled jobs or green jobs. Then is it that we really have adequate number of courses being offered, which also puts a sort of burden or rather acceptability of many of these technologies. Like suppose you have a photovoltaics and there is no one to repair it, then in a way you feel why to go for it, because it never worked for 15, 20 days. But I'm not saying government doesn't have programs. They have very good, very large number of programs. But what I want to say is that more can be done. And that is going to help creating green jobs as well as employment for our people. What we are intending to do, we are working with National Power Research Institute, basically that if we can work on developing certificate courses, postgraduate diplomas, MTech in the subjects where it is required. So I personally feel that in years to come, there is going to be a lot of opportunities in terms of training manpower for creating green jobs, as well as ensuring that the green planet or the movement towards having a cleaner planet and reducing CO2 emissions and GHG emissions will be made possible through the technologies which are available today, as well as technologies of the future. We are also working on a biofuel program, and what we thought that maybe when we are talking of biofuels coming from either plant sources or from alga, the lipid alone may not be commercially viable. Of course, the rising prices of oil may make that acceptable, but then we also have to look at what are the other byproducts. So really speaking, the biofuel should become one of the byproducts rather than the main product, and ensure that none of every part of the plant or of the plant seed or the alga, it is utilized so that you are not adding to the problem of generating waste. And it is possible, and we are working on it. And there are other groups, Department of Biotechnology, they have 5 Center of Excellence on biofuels working, and we all are working as a team. And perhaps that will be a reality very soon. So thank you very much. That's what I wanted to say.
Quick comments, please. Rajnath Ramji, you're mute, probably you will have to unmute. Yeah, now you're audible. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Is my slide visible?
Yes, they're not in slide transition, slide show mode, but they're visible.
Is it now visible in a slide show mode?
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. So good afternoon to sir and my co-panelists and all the distinguished participants. I'll be covering a brief perspective with respect to the policy angle to the energy transition and how the energy efficiency and energy saving measures can be achieved. So I have just categorized my presentation into 3 parts. One would be just covering about the role of energy efficiency, how it has spread as of now, and how it will be looking like in 2047. The existing program that is being run by the government, and Bureau of Energy Efficiency is the nodal agency from the central, who is running the lot of energy efficiency and saving measures program, along with the PCRI, and the way forward for the energy efficiency and the saving measures. as Dr. Biva has also mentioned, we need to value that each unit of energy is saved on par with the each unit of the energy generated. And this should be the first policy choice towards the energy security strategy for the all. So we must encourage industry and consumers to use energy more efficiently. This is a brief analysis has been done, and this is a published report by the UN Bureau of Energy Efficiency. The yellow line shows the projected energy consumption, and the blue line shows the actual consumption based on the policy implementation and on the energy saving measures. After having this energy efficiency program, you are going to save how much energy have been saved as of now. So we have just reached to 5% energy saving in 2019-20. I mean, about 28 million ton of energy have been saved. If you move ahead, this potential can be even more bigger, and this can go up to 9% in 2030. It can go to 15% in 2035, and about 33%. That much of energy can be saved through the enhanced energy efficiency measures. Okay. The major program that is being run by the government is a flagship standard and labeling program, perform and achieve trade bulk procurement through the energy efficiency services limited, and that has extremely done well, and that has enabled a rapid market transformation. Then the program like super energy efficient equipment program, then energy services company which conduct energy efficiency project across the various sector. Then demand side management program, like in the agriculture side, there is already a program being monitored by the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, and we know that almost 17% of GDP contribution comes from the agriculture, and a lot of irrigation due to the pump is happening in the agriculture sector, and that consumes a lot of energy. So the program how to save energy from the agricultural pumps, then municipal bodies how integrated under this demand side management program, and also the capacity building to distribution company, and then energy efficiency program to the small and medium enterprises. Then program like energy conservation building codes, national mission on enhanced energy efficiency, then venture capital fund, partial risk, all the lot of programs is being monitored and run by the Bureau of Energy Efficiency. They are the nodal agency. What we have achieved and what is the result out of this energy efficiency program? We have just achieved only 5% demand reduction from keeping the, we have just recently seen the slide. And then standards labeling program, it has just covers only 30 appliances and equipment across the entire value chain. Then in PAT scheme, we have covered only 13 sector. We need to expand it more to the other sector as well. Then we are running the super efficient equipment program with the limited, we have also very limited success here, and under this is under the national mission on enhanced energy efficiency program, just to accelerate the market transformation through the financial incentive. And 149 energy services companies so far has been impaneled, which conduct energy efficiency project. Although the potential exists about 1.5 lakh crore market, but we have been just able to tap the 5% of it. The role of DISCOM in the promoting energy efficiency has been very minimal, and energy, even though all the states have notified the demand side management regulation, but many electricity distribution company even though they have created demand side management cells, but the expenditure on this count is very less. Rooftop solar, we have not been able to materialize it. This should have been a major game changer in the energy efficiency and energy saving program. Framework for capturing the data for the various sectors, we have to really strengthen this, and we have come out with the production link incentive program, the energy efficiency for enhanced energy efficiency solar cell and module manufacturing program. But the mechanism to monitor the efficiency level of the solar cell and the panel at the field level, that's a kind of the program needs to be devised for a better and enhanced energy efficiency measures. So what should be the way forward to really gain a lot of momentum and get the benefit out of the energy saving measures and energy efficiency measures? The role of BE as a nodal agency needs to be strengthened, and we must, because a lot of programs and initiatives is being looked after by the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, and these funds can be also utilized to create offices at the regional level for better coordination with the state nodal agency, because a lot is being monitored at the state level through the state nodal agencies. So we need a very strong kind of coordination between BE and the state nodal agency to monitor and run the program. Role of PCRA as of now is not very clear, and we need to review the role of PCRA. If possible, it can be merged with the BE, because there is a conservation measure related to the cooking and the oil and gas sector. So those are I think that should also fall within the purview of the BE. I think we can consider merging of PCRA with the BE. Going ahead, India needs to prioritize the energy efficiency program, and we have to set up a very ambitious sector-wise energy efficiency target. And this target needs to be measurable with a rigorous methodology and with the adequate data. Expanding PAD, because as of now we have just covered the 13 sectors, this can be increased to the more sectors so that the energy efficiency measures can be implemented. Ensuring ECBC code for the even residential building of a certain size, because as of now this is ECBC code is applicable only to the commercial building. This can be extended to even the large society, even the residential building, and a certain category of the buildings can be included here. We know that there would be a rise in demand for the space cooling and space heating. Hence, a certain mandatory minimum star leveling program is also required at the end. A lot of efforts have been towards the energy efficiency program for these small and medium sector enterprises, but not much success has been there. So we need to reorient our strategy towards more a demonstration kind of project and a cluster-based approach. And there need to have some mandatory energy saving and a baseline data. We should also work out to create a baseline data for this. Then financing energy efficiency program. How to encourage banks to extend the loan to energy efficiency projects, and how the energy saving companies can be de-risked from taking up this kind of projects. Digitalization of energy, that's an important aspect, not only to manage the energy use, but also to improve the data collection at the different demand sector, and also the end use energy consumption, because the demand side data we completely lack on this count, and we need to establish such a mechanism. Then the rigorous awareness campaign, that's a critical for promoting a net zero concept to the organization and commercial building. And also it has been said, and that a mindful and deliberate utilization instead of mindless and destructive consumption. I mean, this is the broad theme under which the rigorous awareness campaigns should be also brought at the ground. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Rajnath-ji. There are a couple of questions and comments that have come. The first question is to Dr. Bakare, that is from Professor Anirudh Pandit, and it says that the percentage energy used for cooking of food for 16% of world population, which India houses, estimates vary from 26 to 40% of the national energy consumption, which appears to be a totally neglected area. The average thermal efficiency of cooking operations rarely exceeds 25%. So are there any alternate ways that we can actually consider, for example, PNG? But when we actually do PNG, there are also PNG efficient burners that have been developed by institutes like Indian Institute of Petroleum and so on and so forth. So how do you think those would be useful in energy efficiency measures? Dr. Bakare is there?
Yeah, shall I respond now, sir?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. And yeah, although the percentage, I may say, the consumption has been there. Generally, we have, if we see the total energy basket, about 40% is 45% is of industry, 23% is domestic, and 11% is commercial. So if we put together 34% as the building sector, in that the maybe the 20-25% could be the cooking energy. So it will be part of that, and not obviously the total energy. But nevertheless, sir, very rightly said, cooking is one area. Actually, traditionally, we were having the non-commercial, that is the biomass traditionally used. In fact, almost 1/3 of, say, if we see 2 decades before. So that was the non-commercial, the biomass, like firewood or dung, etc. Now we have switched to the commercial cooking. So we need to get basically the LPG itself is a very efficient fuel, but when we go to the burners which we are using, even though the BIS is 68%, star labeling we have initiated, which can encourage somewhere 71 to 72%. But the PNG burners, both from IIP Dehradun, and there is LERC in Bangalore, apart from IIT Kanpur, IIT Guwahati, both all 4 institutes have really worked with the improving the burner efficiency. So PNG burners and the LPG burners can be further improved by at least 6 to 8%. That is one way. The second way the Bureau is pushing is basically the electric cooking. We are just trying to come out with the comparison between the electric cooking, because that is coming somewhere between 84 to 86% efficiency. And if we see, if we want to boil one liter of water, and if we try to compare the same LPG stove and the electric cooking, there has been almost kind of a 30 to 33% of saving, both in terms of energy and the cost to the consumer. So in that manner, I think the Go Electric campaign, which Bureau and started with different ministries, it is not only the Go Electric for the e-mobility alone. It will be like all the areas, and electric cooking is a big potential, where in next decade we will see a game changer. Thank you.
All the three of you actually talked in fair amount of details about the building energy efficiency and all, and also possibility of net zero energy buildings. All of you actually mentioned that, and I think we need to actually involve ourselves in building codes as well, the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, in how we are actually going to promote the net zero building concept more aggressively, especially in the upper reaches where a lot of climate is very cold, or also in the regions where the climate is very warm. In both places, the net zero actually concept needs to be promoted through the building codes and things like that. So that's a comment. One of the persons had commented, one Mr. Ashish Mandal, that to reduce electricity load of buildings, lightweight porous glass foam bricks can also be considered as alternate materials which have lower thermal conductivity. So maybe, I mean, that we should also consider. But I think what we'll do now, because we are already running out of time, and our emphasis essentially is on the announcements made in the budget and how we are actually going to implement those announcements. And as Honorable Prime Minister said in the morning, number of issues that have been actually said there. Our collective wisdom should be actually to how do we implement those and take it forward in a very positive manner. What I should do is I should request Dr. Rakesh Kumar, who is the rapporteur for this session, to please sum up, and then after that we will finish the session. Very briefly, Rakesh, if we can.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mande, and thanks to all the presenter and experts. Actually, this is an area where the discussion can possibly go on for the whole day. But looking at the issues that were being discussed, I think it came out very clearly that if we target sector-wise, it is very important that that targeting should not only be for saving of the electricity but also create jobs. And I think budget announcement was primarily trying to address that issue in terms of capacity building and creating those auditors, which came out very clearly from many of the presenters as well, that how do we do those audits, how do we do performance related parameters assessment, and therefore create jobs. So it not only creates jobs in the private sector, but also in the industry side. That is something which is possible, which will lead to verification and related protocol, which is very, very important for our country. What came out very clearly also is that capturing of data is very important. So some of the data sets actually look robust, but when we scratch the surface, we find that many of these sectors data is still lacking, and that's where a lot of input has to go in. In building sector particularly, I think tremendous amount of work has been done from the coming out with TCBC standards, everything. And there are many buildings which are being designed as per that protocol. However, that's a very minuscule number. And if we have to increase that number, we will have to make it towards mandatory for all the new buildings which are coming up. We may define at what level that we need to do. And the real opportunity exists in the older buildings. That is where inefficiency levels of energy use is very, very low, very poor in that sense. So here we need R&D inputs at appropriate technology, which could be very, very small expenditure to do this. And for this, I would say not only private sector funding, but also government sector funding has to come. So lastly, I just wanted to highlight here that an example which was done in Japan for all their fridges which were very old and they needed to integrate energy efficiency. They started this program called CoolBiz, which just needed a small retrofitting device of about 2,000 rupees, which could actually indicate what temperature your fridge is. Earlier, our fridges did not have those indicators. And using that, they could save in domestic sector alone about 12% of electricity. So that's the kind of a small take which are powerful and which will be able to take this sector forward. I fully agree with all the presenters that industry sector is doing enough and they're very sensitive about their energy use and cost therefore. But I think domestic sector is where we need to spend more time and effort so that we get the real benefit out of the announcement which has been made in the budget. So I'll stop here, sir, in the interest of time, and I'll share the summary separately.
Thank you so very much. I think there are very valuable lessons that we have learned in this panel discussion. Clearly, there is also a need to engage ourselves with each other in the coming time. But I cannot thank all the panel members enough for your valuable inputs today and all the people who joined in the discussions. Thank you all so very much and look forward to seeing you at 2 o'clock once again, where we will be recapitulating the entire proceedings of the day in form of some kind of recommendations and so on and so forth. So thank you all very much.
This meeting is being recorded.
Over to you, Parul.
Namaskar. Honorable Ministers, senior officials, colleagues, panelists, participants, and viewers, welcome to the concluding session of today's webinar. Honorable, as India moves towards its sanitary celebrations in 2047, the budget 2022 included several new initiatives with a focus on growth and inclusive development during the next 25 years. Today's budget webinar focuses on technology-enabled development. Plenary one started with the inaugural address by Honorable Prime Minister, where he shared his vision for a technology-enabled India in the Amrit Kal and set the goals and expectations for the groups to deliberate in the breakout sessions. While emphasizing on the sunrise sectors such as AI, geospatial, drones, semiconductors, space technology, etc., he once again stressed the need for a strong 5G ecosystem, data governance, and use of technology for empowering our citizens. The principal scientific advisor emphasized that collaborations between research, academia, and industry is necessary to improve our S&T capabilities and how S&T investments will build India's capabilities of the future in diverse areas such as climate change mitigation, energy transition, telecommunication, etc. Today's event brought together leading personalities from the industry, policymakers, and government officials to dwell on the technology-related budget announcements and identify actionable strategies to ensure ease of living of common man. As we celebrate the glorious years of India's progress, especially in the field of science and technology, we acknowledge the significant and unparalleled contribution made by several eminent scientists. These luminaries shaped the scientific interventions in India and thus began the journey to ensure India's strategic autonomy in various fields of science and technology. With the Government of India's policies on Atmanirbhar Bharat, there is major focus on a self-reliant ecosystem in science, technology, and innovation, along with transfer of science to solutions. With the learnings and success stories of the past in various R&D sectors, we need to develop capabilities to find innovative S&T solutions for the benefit of common man through seamless conversion of knowledge to application. This is possible with the appropriate linkages between academia, industrial, and civil society to ultimately scale our ambitious but doable plans by 2047. In recent years, we saw the benefit of a robust biotech research ecosystem and the pharma manufacturing ecosystem, wherein our country was able to develop, demonstrate, and deliver multiple domestic vaccines for COVID. We also developed our own 5G technology with integrated efforts. We now look forward to the outcomes of the 4 breakaway sessions, which deliberated upon the positive impact of the budget to facilitate a technology-enabled environment for delivery of R&D solutions to the citizens of the country. Breakaway Session 1 on building a strong 5G ecosystem for service delivery, led by Department of Telecommunication, had a focused panel discussion on promoting Make in India of 5G products and make it affordable so that the broadband and mobile services reach the remotest corner of the country. Breakaway Session 2 on Science and Technology towards a Circular Economy, led by Department of Scientific and Industrial Research, dwelled on challenges in managing e-waste and development of recycling technology and policy for recycling. Panel discussions on energy efficiency, low carbon technology development, and next generation mobility also formed part of the session. Department of Science and Technology led the 3rd breakaway session on promoting R&D, human resources in emerging areas, and once again emphasized on the importance of bridging the industry-academia gap for R&D innovations. And there was a special session on need for a national geospatial policy. Breakaway Session 4 on emerging technologies for sustainable development, led by Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, led sessions on motivating startups and how India can be made a global hub for data center and cloud. Now I invite the secretaries of lead ministries of the 4 breakout sessions to summarize the outcomes of today's events. The order of the presentation will be Shri K. Rajaraman, Secretary, Department of Telecommunication on breakout session 1, Dr. Shekhar Wande, Secretary, Department of Scientific and Industrial Research on breakout session 2, Dr. S. Chandrasekhar, Secretary, Department of Science and Technology on breakout section 3. The last presentation will be made by Secretary, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Subsequently, we will seek the views and guidance from the Honorable Ministers of the line ministries on the deliberations on the breakout session. Over to Secretary Rajaraman